Hello, hello. We are live again from the city of Onitsha. And today we're going into programming concept. We are looking at introduction to JavaScript. We'll hang on a bit for more people to join us. Okay, it's time. So a bit of announcement again. Some people still haven't got on fifth work, very few though. I want you to know that any issue that has to do with reset password or lockout has been taken care of. Please go ahead and get into the portal. And we've made decision to add additional days before that course get archived. Initially, it will be archived, it was supposed to be archived on December 22nd, but it will be open up till the 25th, just to make sure people that haven't, started can go in and finish. Some are asking about the assignments. Don't worry, the assignment will be unlocked few days to the end. The thing is, you just want to make sure you go through all the courses. Sorry, not assignment, the quiz is online quiz. So when you do the quiz, you will now see your progress, because your progress is tied with your quiz, right? So as you now do your quiz, all those progress you're looking for, they will show up, and then your scores will be recorded. Thank you. So today we are starting JavaScript. So going in parallel with it. Introduction to Bitcoin theory course is still ongoing. We introduce JavaScript, so you'll be doing both of them in parallel. Then along the line, we also bring in Golang. And we are only looking at the introductory part of these programming languages. So why are we learning JavaScript? Well, right now, JavaScript is about the most popular programming language, like in everything. Have you visited their website? And maybe, you see some motion, something pops in and pops out like that. Most time in JavaScript, you want to fill a form. and you put your email address. We remember when we were trying to create account with, was it LinkedIn? Maybe, yes. So you put in your email address, for instance. Maybe if it's not correct, the syntax is not correct, it will tell you, hey, this is wrong. Is JavaScript running in the front end, testing those, validating the data you are putting on, right? You go to certain website, they want you to take a look at a product. You want to buy a product, okay? You see the front view. You want to take out the side view, the back view, and you use your mouse, you move it around. All those, the images, they turn around. You can zoom in and zoom out. That's JavaScript working. You go to a map, you see a pointer, you go into it, another thing pops up, gives you more detail about that in that JavaScript. So think about how ubiquitous it is in our daily lives where we are interacting with web pages, right? So that's why we are looking at it. And it has a low entry barrier. You don't need to be so vast in programming, okay, to be able to understand JavaScript. No, it doesn't have all those, the syntax and details and libraries of a fully fledged programming language like C and C++, Python. And when we say JavaScript, sometimes some people confuse it with Java. I mean, Java is a different language. They will have JavaScript. They are not related. So don't confuse the two. So JavaScript is on its own and is different from Java completely. So JavaScript has become the language of the web, right? A lot of things going on now, all the front end. You see JavaScript do. In fact, JavaScript has even extended into talking with the back end. You have all kinds of frameworks now, that sits in a middleware, and they're talking both front end and back end. So that's why it's interesting to look at it. If you are coming to become a Bitcoin developer, you will meet codes that have to do with JavaScript. Most of the smart contracts are kind of similar with JavaScript, but more strict. They are very strict. They're not, as forgiving as maybe some initial JavaScripts are. So that's it. Now let's look at a bit of history on this. Well, in 1995, the first version was written by Brendan Eich. And guess what? It took him just 10 days to write it. 1995. He was working with Netscape, right? Yes. And also had something to do with Mozilla, but the first version, he wrote it in 1995. And it took him only 10 days to do that. Now think about that. A work someone did within 10 days is now a framework that becomes the language of the internet. As you go through this course, I want to say this: blockchain is still in its developmental stages. I've said it a lot of times, right? Even most of the will teach you now in blockchain. At the end of the day, they might go different direction. It might not be the direction we are looking at now. It will take a life of its own, right? So you are in a position right now to contribute to what becomes of the Bitcoin blockchain, how these things are modeled, the policies that go into them, what direction we move. It might be one of you from this cohort, and that would be wonderful. So keep studying, keep trying to solve problems. We're getting to very soon to the reprogramming part and the project. During the project, you guys will do a lot of, reading, testing out so many things, because that project will require even some skills we didn't teach you here. So get ready for that. There have been many versions of JavaScript. The first edition of it was 1997. And then you have the one in 1998. They make some changes in it. And in 1999, they added the regular expressions. This is just a regular expression. I'll give you an example. If you are writing a code, you want to know, okay, is someone's email address. You want to make sure that the email address conforms to certain stuff. For example, it has the beginning part, something, there's an @ and after @ there's some other thing, and maybe the top level domain. So you use regular expression to match all those characters. That's one thing you could do. You added a try and catch. You're writing a code, and this code you're writing might throw an error. The error might just come up and maybe stop what you're doing. Okay, so you use a try. Hey, if this does not go through, we'll cache it and look at the error I want to come out. So it had the switch statement. The switch, it made the if-else statement more easier. You might have so many options you want to test. If this doesn't happen, do this. If it doesn't happen, do this. Else. It might be so long. But with this case, the switch, you just have your switch and the case and the switch. Whatever it is, it will match a particular declaration for you, assignment for you, and it will work. You have the do while, they were added. So moving to ES4, it was never released. And just so you know, this document, I pulled it up from the w3schools.com. Most of the standards, almost all your programming languages are here. So I encourage you, as you study and you want to learn more things about some concept, go to W3Schools, and the URL is there. You will see all this stuff. I just pulled it up and just for instructional purposes. So down to the ES5, you have the strict mode, where you have to actually obey the rules, right? And they added the JSON support. JSON is just a format for data interchange. You are working in different programs, right? You want to access another person's program somewhere using API. Most of the time, you talk to the APIs in JSON format. It's just a key value pair. You have a key, let's say name. Name might be Kelesu Sigwilo, that's a value. So it uses the key value pair to get data. So any process can consume it because just key and value. So it's easy to consume. And then they have the stream. You can string certain things. And a lot of things comes up. They went on to the ESCs, and we have the left and cons. We will see these things when we are going on. There are different way of declaring variables, right? And it continued to 2016 when they added the exponential operator. And then you also have the arrays. And in 2017, there's the string padding. You can see all those functions. Yeah, don't worry about them. You might not even meet them in the course of this program. But if you go deeper sometime doing certain things, yeah, you might meet them. But just know, yeah, if you see them, they are just improvements that happen. This is a history we are looking at. And that consists of 2018. You have more coming in. At the 2019, same thing. We're in 2020 now, right? So you see how it has evolved from one guy doing this thing way back then, and then taking a life of his own. And right now we're here and we're looking at JavaScript. Okay. So to do this course, there are certain tools we need. And those are the tools you're going to look at. Number one, you're going to need a code editor. Now, code editor, if you're going to write code, you need an editor that understands it, can interpret it. You can, whatever code you write, it understands that code and it runs it for you and gives you the required output, whatever it is. And these code editors, they do more. They can help you in writing your code. When you make a mistake, when you're writing a code, for instance, it will be highlighted. You might be red underline on it. Sometimes they will help you to do formatting, right? You finish writing your code, it sets it in the format that's more readable. So, and they have different extensions you can install. So when we get to actually using and developing on blockchain, there are certain extensions we'll install on them. So personally, I use VS Code, and I think it's common. VS Code, Visual Studio Code. It's different from Visual Studio. Microsoft has a Visual Studio. It's a full-fledged, interface like this, but you have a hell of things to do. That's different. We're talking about VS Code. They are separate things. So you might want to try this out. It's free, whether you're using Windows, Mac, or Linux. You can get this for free. You go to code.visualstudio.com and download it. It's quite good. But if you have other preferred code editor, that's fine. What matters is that it's a code editor. It can help you look at your programs, validate them, and run them, and you see your output. Because when you're testing, when you're writing program, there are so many things to test. Something breaks, and you want to test it. So a code editor makes life easier. Actually, you can just pick up ordinary text editor and write your code. If you run it, will work. Yes, it will work, right? But the code editor, they have, like I said, they give you certain hints also and makes life easier for you when you are coding. So just go ahead after the course. If you don't have it, go ahead and download it. You'll need it in this course. Then we also need a browser. Talking of browser, we're going to use Chrome for this course. Just so you know, Google Chrome, it has built-in JavaScript engine. But most of the things that run on your site or on your browser, all the JavaScript happening is processing that. You can even see them live, what they are going, what value they are bringing out. So Chrome, it has a JavaScript engine. So even if you don't use editor, for example, you can actually use Google Chrome to write your code and test them out if you run verify. And for Google Chrome, you know where to get that. It's google.com. If you go there, and again, it's free, whether you're using Windows, Mac, or Linux, and you don't have to pay for it, just like the VS Code. It's all free. So you're going to need a browser. Along this line, I'll switch between both. Sometimes when we're actually looking at a page, we just go behind it and use the JavaScript engine to debug. And sometimes we'll use the VS Code. Okay. Now, it's optional. Why I say it's optional is it doesn't have anything to do with coding actually, right? Because if you're writing things, sometimes you might have some image. You want to process an image. You want to put an image into what you're doing. Okay, so if that's the case, well, you could use you could use the GIMP or Photoshop. But the GIMP is free. You don't have to pay for it. So you can download GIMP for free for gimp.org.org. Photoshop is a paid app. You need a license to use it. If you already have it on your machine, you're using it, it's fine. Like I say again, it's optional. You don't actually need it, right? Because most of the things we are doing, we won't be doing images. But since this is an instructional course on JavaScript, I thought like maybe I should add this just so you know you can use these tools if you want to. And again, yes, even if it's we're doing blockchain, maybe if you want to do your front end, if you need the back end, you want people can see the interface. In that place, you want to put images. Okay, how do you optimize those images? How do you remove the background from the image? How do you do certain things? So this will help you as a tool. It's okay if you download them and have them on your machine. And of course, this looks very obvious, but I have to point it out anyway. You need a computer. It could be a laptop or a desktop, but you need a computer. Lots of people have come up with questions, can I use my phone? I know a lot of innovation is going on. So many apps that can do so many things on the phone. Yeah, you could explore that, right? But I mean, if you're gonna say you want to become a developer, you need to have a real computer like a laptop or a desktop. Because most time you have to type, with your 10 fingers, right? Including your thumb. So when you have a full-fledged QWERTY keyboard like this, it makes life easier for you. I can imagine writing code and using phone and having to look at those things and type them one by one like that. It's easier when you have a full-fledged keyboard like this, and yeah, makes things easier. But again, innovation keeps coming out, so you can explore various options on Play Store or Apple Store, right? And look for certain things that can work on your smartphone. I won't rule those ones out. Then we need some skills. And here are some of the skills we require. You have to know how to manipulate files. If you get a file, you say, because we're creating folders and subfolders, right? So you create a folder, you make a subfolder, you need to know how to do all these things. You need to put a file somewhere, you need to know where to put it. And when you put it, you need to know where they are when you want to use it. Because when you're writing code, You use folders to organize what you're doing, and you should be able to navigate them very well, right? I've talked about, of course, keyboard, typing. You need your hands. I didn't mention that, but you need your fingers. It's very important. You have to use your fingers. And that's why I mentioned the idea of having a regular laptop or a desktop. A regular keyboard, I'll use the word more of the keyboard. You use your hand a lot. That's why you just keep going like that, right? Then other than that, you have to know how to organize files. You save them and you go back to where they are. This one, persistence. I tell you what, sometimes you'll be writing code and it's not working. And maybe I gave a demo. You look at it, but this is what he did, right? And you follow everything and your code is not working out, right? And it can be quite annoying. And sometimes you might lose your patience. But when it happens, please don't despair. It could just be that there's a space where it shouldn't be. Maybe you wrote a particular letter, a small letter, where it should be in capital. It could be one, or maybe you missed a column somewhere, a semicolon. Because in JavaScript, most time you terminate sentence, although not as strict as C language, where you must put your semicolon, right? But then in JavaScript, yeah, you use your semicolon to terminate. So it could be that you missed the semicolon and you keep running it and it just keeps giving you error. Just calm down. Sometimes you need to leave the thing and go away. It happens to me a lot. I could be working on some program and I'm like, I must get this right now. I must get done with it. And it's not coming out. Sometimes just leaving it, take a walk, do some other things, right? In fact, I have cases where I just have to go to bed. And as I'm waking up, the solution is just there in my head. It's this. So rather than just keep, getting so annoyed and pissed off the whole thing, you can take a break and come back to it later. There's one thing with the brain. The brain is very complex. It does things that sometimes we don't even comprehend. So your brain tries to resolve all these things, and finally you go, oh, this is it. You just go back to it. One simple command that, boom, everything works like charm. So you need to be persistent. Don't give up. If you try something that doesn't work, please don't give up. Try again. Talk to your peers and compare, talk to your peers. Look at your code very well. And you see why, and once you fix it, sometimes you're happy, and it encourages you to do more. So you need persistence in this course. And number 3, you need to have logic. We are not talking about mathematics. You don't need to be a mathematician to be a good programmer. Just the logic. There are so many people that are logical. They don't even know math, but they could work things out. They could look at something like a maze. They can work it out like, oh, if this, that, no, it should come out from that way. Without mathematics, even for the serious math stuff in computer, you simplify them, right? For example, with differential equations where you have so many integrals and blah, 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 you could just reduce all this into step functions, step sizes, where you do them one bit at a time, right? You just put a loop for in your program, and it loops over it 1,000 times. It doesn't matter a number of times, and it gives you the solution. So you don't need the whole complex math to be able to do. No, of course, you should know that 1 + 1 is 2. You should know those basic stuff, right? Yeah, and once you know them, every other thing is step by step. You just write the program. So logic is something you can practice. Logical thinking, something you can practice and get better in it. So this is it. You don't need rigorous math. Just have the basic logic and that. And the other one, you're going to need HTML and CSS. Now, we didn't teach these courses because they're so basic. Well, this course is about blockchain developer. And yes, I said already, some of you are coming from scratch. You have zero knowledge on all this, we know, right? But HTML and CSS is so basic. What JavaScript actually does is to manipulate the HTML and CSS on the web pages. That's what it does. Maybe translate it. Maybe a point was somewhere before. It takes it to another point. It changes the X and Y coordinate of it. It moves to another point. It gives you the illusion of movement or running, right? That's what it does. Something was at some place, it scales it up by a factor. maybe by 10 or by 20 and scales it that. So it just does certain things that gives that interaction to you. So what it just does is it manipulates the HTML and the CSS. So you need to know HTML and CSS. But if you haven't done this before, don't worry. There's a resource for you. There's a resource for you to go through, to be able to understand that. One good place you can start is Internet is Hard. It's a website. Internet is Hard. So you could go there, internetishard.com/HTML-and-CSS. So I have the link on my screen. If you've not done HTML before, or you need to brush up on HTML, just go here. We'll be giving you, today is Thursday, so over the weekend, I expect you to have gone through this and get all the necessary HTML and CSS script CSS and skills you will need for this course. I won't be going, so I mean, I will only look at variables for today. And the reason I'm looking at variables is I want to give us everybody equal chance. Those of you that haven't done CSS before or HTML, we won't teach it in this course, but it's very simple. That's the basics. In fact, that's the basic. You know, after that, you now go to JavaScript. So use this weekend to go through this place and learn about HTML and CSS. Then by next week, we'll now dive deep into the JavaScript. Okay. So let's look at JavaScript. We are going to look only at the variables for today. I intentionally made it like that, just to give other people time to catch up. You know, if we go off and you don't know HTML and CSS to some point, you might be lost. So what are variables? Variables are containers for storing data. And when we talk about data, we're talking about values, the values. That's what variables are. Now, here's an example. var x equals 5. That var is just saying it's a variable, right? And what it does is take x, it creates a container called x. Actually, it's a memory location on your device. And in that memory location, it's assigned 5 into it. So it creates a container called x and put 5 into it. So anytime in your program, if you call x, it will produce 5. You know, you want to read the value from what's the value in x, it will give you 5. Now the second one say var y equals 2. What happens here also, it creates a container called y and stores 2 in it. This helps us to manipulate, to do complex stuff. Like look at the third line, there say var z equals x plus y. You see, we didn't say 5 plus 2 now, we're just saying x plus y. So what it does, it goes to that container x, because x is a container somewhere, it's a memory location somewhere on in your programming, depending on the scope, where exactly it's called. You know, it's a memory location there. It goes there, it looks up x and it sees 5, right? It also goes there and looks up y and it sees 2. So it does 5 plus 2. You could tell that the answer will be 7. It's obvious. You can also you see the other one, var age equals 18. So we create, this one is more, you use, when you are making variable, use variable that are meaningful to you. If I say x equals y, it equals 5 and y equals 2, it don't really quite make any sense other than, okay, there's a variable called x is 5. But when I say age equals 18, it makes more sense now. So I can always call my age. But if I say x and y, it's vague. You don't know what x is, you don't know y is. So it's when you are naming variables, it's good to use names that describe what you're trying to do. So when I say var age equals 18, anybody that reading this code knows that, I'm referring to the age of a person or age of anything. It could be age of anything, not necessarily a person, right? Just also we say var fruit equals orange. See? So fruit equals orange. Orange is a type of fruit. So it makes sense that I use fruit as the variable. So somewhere in the memory, it creates a container known as fruit. And inside it, it stores a string called orange. You can store anything. You can also store an empty string, nothing at all. Like var a equals empty string. Those two, that's asterisks. no, not asterisk, quotation marks, yes. So the beginning and ending quotation mark with nothing in between them. That's what I have there. So it's just an empty string. So we use variables a lot. When you doing smart contracts, you have addresses. Address is just the person's public key that is hashed, which is the hash public key that has been hashed to give an address. It could be a BSV address, it could be a Bitcoin address. You just say address equals that. That's a variable, yeah. With something like owner, owner, it has some attributes in smart contract. Owner of the contract can do a lot. So say owner equals that. We know when you see owner, you say, oh, it's the owner of the contract, right? So there are many variables. I mean, it can be anything, but there are some rules. We are going to see the rules in a bit. Okay. Just one thing about variable in JavaScript. Variables are case sensitive. They are case sensitive. Look at the first example we have there. Say var fruit equals orange. Here we have a sentence case. That's the first letter is capital and every other thing small letter. So it makes a container called fruit and stores orange in it. Now the second one, we have var fruit, but this time all the letters are in small case. When I say small case, I mean lower cases. Lower case. So we have fruit equals pear. And look at the third one, var fruit, or in capital letter, equals the string watermelon. Now, these are three different variables with three different values. So they are not the same. When we say something is case sensitive, it means they are not the same. So when you are writing your code, these are common errors you could have. Maybe you're trying to test your code, it's not working. They say, but I wrote fruit is that. You look very well. Are your cases correct? If I want to call orange, for example, I must call the one that starts with F, the first one, fruit. If I go and type the one with lowercase, it will give me pear because they are different things. So just know that variables, they are case sensitive. Now there are ways to declare a variable. And we have 4 ways in particular in JavaScript. The first one, we've seen that in all our examples using the keyword var, V-A-R. That's a way to tell JavaScript, hey, I want to declare a variable. So you say var, then you give the variable name, whatever it is, right? You can also use let. So I can say let fruit equals watermelon. You also have const. Okay. You also have like nothing. You could just say x equals something. It will work. But in good programming, always declare your variable. So it makes their behavior changes from time to time, depending on what you're doing, what you want to do. It could behave differently. So to avoid unexpected results, always declare your variable with the right keywords. So let's look at the differences between all of them now. Now, the var keyword is used in all JavaScript from beginning to about 2015. So it's way back. If you want to declare a variable, just say var for variable. That's it. But later on, new keywords were introduced, new ways of declaring a variable, and they are let and const. They were added in 2015, right? So if you're coding for something that in the old browser, you have to use var, very old one. But the thing is, you can't, we're in 2022. I'm not sure anybody uses those browsers anymore, because even if you're using a smartphone now, it comes default with more recent browsers, right? And even Windows, Microsoft, they stopped supporting certain version of their Internet Explorer. So they don't support them anymore. So right now, if you're writing, always concentrate on using your let and const, where you should use them. And we'll see how. 1 minute, please. Okay. So the major difference between the let and const, let me take that. So const means constant. It's a short for constant. So when you declare a variable as const, it means that variable will not change. So if I say const surname equals Ivilo, it means anytime I call surname, it has to be Ivilo. You won't change it. If along the line I want to change that name, it won't work. It will an error. That won't const. So it's good that when it helps you when you are writing a program, you know that this thing will never change. It will be constant all through your program. Use the word const to declare it, and it will be constant. It won't let you change it anywhere, even if you want to change it by mistake. But when you use the let, yeah, it's still a variable, but it can change anytime. So I can say let x equals 7. Along the line, I could also say let x equals 2. It will allow me. But if I define x as const, and I said const x equals 5, if I come some other place and say that x equals 2, it will throw up an error. So that's a major difference. Now, there are rules in naming variables. There are some rules you have to observe when naming variables. Number one, names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. So, you can have digits, you can have underscores, you can have dollar sign in a name. They're all okay. But name must begin with a letter. Very important. So if you want to name a variable, it must begin with a letter, not a number. You can't say one bed equals, no. I mean the number 1, right? But you can start with bed 1. 1 will come somewhere, maybe towards the end. But you must start with a letter, not a number. Names can also begin with dollar and underscore. For that dollar, avoid it. Usually some, some expressions actually that uses the dollar. So don't start your variables with dollar, at least for this class we are taking. Okay, so just avoid it, or just start with a regular, start with a letter, it's safe. Now, names are case sensitive. I took time to explain this before. So small letter y and capital letter Y are different variables. And again, there are what we call reserved words. You don't use reserved words. So, we say name, you can name your variable anything. But JavaScript has some word it uses by itself. For example, if you say new, JavaScript wants to create a new object. So it's a reserved word. So any word that is reserved, you don't have to use them. And let's take a look at some of these reserved words that you don't have to use. Again, you can go to w3schools.com and it will give you, it's a long list. I just make a screenshot. It's a very long list, but I just make a screenshot of that. You can see abstract is there. So never use abstract as your keyword, as your variable, right? You have car, you have class, default, else, double. Now think about these are words that JavaScript understands. Whenever you call them, you already know what to do. Most of them are functions, right? They perform certain operation and return a particular output or change whatever is in the memory. They do all kinds of things. So just avoid this word. As long as you avoid them, it's a very long list. Go to this website and look at all the lists there. So in case you're writing a program and you make a variable and it's complaining about your variable, just think, maybe it's a reserved word, assuming you don't know everything, right? So you rename it, just let it be different from the main keyword, right? Okay. So at this point, I'll go to the browser. Let's take a look at some, let me show you around some of this thing I just said, just to show you, and you can, practice more of that. So I said we are going to use Chrome. So I'll use Chrome in this demo I want to do right now. Come back to my Google Chrome. Pick up one. That. Okay. So I want to turn on the developer mode. So Google Chrome, when you go to view, to the view menu, you will see developer. That's where we want to go. You see developer. And look very close, you see JavaScript console. See, it exists. So I'm going to click JavaScript console. Okay, here is it. So you see some code behind. These are JavaScript running behind on this web page we are. But let me clear everything there. I call the clear function, C-L-E-A-R, open and closing bracket. It's a function. So hit enter. Yes, has cleared up the screen, so I can see more now. Okay, so we can see more. So let's look at variables. Let's do some of those things we said before. So I can say X equals 5. Enter. And I say Y equals 2. The variable Y equals 2. It's returned. Right? So as I said, X equals 5, you see it returned 5. It means the value of X is 5. That's what you're seeing here. One minute, please. Okay. Just 1 minute, please. Okay, yeah, fine. All right. The second one, you can see return 2. That's the value of Y. Now let's do Z. When I say Z equals X plus Y. So let's call Z. When I call Z, now let's see what the value of Z will be. I don't know why I'm getting this course. Am I missing something? Let me check the chart. 1 minute, please. I want to check the chart. Let me see if I'll be back in a bit. Let me look at the chart. Oh, someone said I'm showing the wrong screen. Oh, they're not seeing the demo screen. I see. Okay, thank you. I'll correct that now. Sorry, let me share another screen. Okay, thank you. I'll correct that in a bit. So I'll stop sharing. Okay, I'll share another one. Okay. Let me share my entire screen, my entire desktop. Okay, I'm sharing my entire desktop now, which means if I go back to the Chrome, hopefully you will see that. Let me verify. If please, in the chat, just tell me in the chat if you can see my Chrome browser. I'm putting on the chat to take a look at. Okay, let me take some questions here. Can't see your screen, can't see. Can you see my screen now? Please, if you can see, let me know. Yes. Okay. No, this is another stuff. Okay. Oh, I can check, right? Let me go to the YouTube and check. Yes, you guys can see my screen now. Yes. Okay, confirmed. You can see my screen. So, okay. So let me start all over again. I want to clear the screen. I just clear with the opening and closing bracket, just to show that it's a function. It's all cleared up now. So let's start again. I said that I want to declare a variable x equals 5 and y equals 2. And I said z equals x plus y. Okay, so let me call up z now. What is z? If I call z, see, it returns 7. So what we did, we created a variable called x, y, and also z, but z is a function of x and y. Sorry about that in function of. Z is just x plus y. Just add x to y, it gives you z. And you see it works. So let's declare them with, let's try the const. Let's say const b equals, now before the const, let me show you something. Before now, I said that x equals 5 from the beginning. Let me assign that value to x. I say x equals, let's say 12, right? Enter. You see, x is now 12. When I do z, let's see what z will give us. What is z now? Sorry. Sorry about it. This is something existing already. Worker job, blah, blah. Don't worry about this. Never mind. Okay. So I want to call z. Okay. I said x equals, let's say 12. I said 12 before. Okay. And z equals x plus y, right? Okay. So see up now, previous will say x equals to 5 and y equals 2. It gave us 7 as z, which is correct. But here I declare that x equals 12. And I want to add x and y. So 12 plus 2 is 14. What I did now, I'm able to change the value of x. But what about if we declare x as a const? Let's see. Const, let's call it a, equals 3. Sorry. Okay. A. Let's say const fruit. equals 3. Undefined. Okay. Think working in from the browser. Let's equals 3. It's already been declared. Okay. It's not letting me do that. You see what's going on now? I declared A as a const initially, okay? And now I want to assign another value to A. And it threw error for me. It said A already been declared, right? So when you have a const, you cannot change the value. The value remains the same all through. But with a let, if you declare a variable with a let, okay, yeah, you can assign other values to that. So let's B, for example. Oh, sorry, I added something. Let's B. I just want to declare a variable. Why is it? Okay. So I just declared a variable called B, but I didn't assign anything to B. It's declined, but nothing assigned to it. It's a variable now. So it lives in the memory. So I can assign a variable. I can then say B equals, let's say 3 or something, right? Someone is still calling me. Let me check if you guys can actually hear me. Okay, yes, I think I'm still fine. You can see my screen. So I assigned B to 3. I assigned 3 to B rather, but let me get, I said that B is equal to 5 now. You see, it works, it's accepted it. I had B as 3, and I later assigned 5 to B. It accepted it because I declared it as with let variable. So let B equals that, you can change it. But when you say const A equals something, it's fine. Throughout the life of that program, you cannot change it. So that's just quite a little bit of it. Let me clear the screen here. Okay, so whenever it's filled up, you do that clear, it clears it up. So this is just a little bit about what we saw. You can define a variable and assign values to those variables. And we have certain keywords. We have the let, the const, and the var, okay? And use more of the let and the const. You know, use more of the let and the const. Var have some behavior sometimes. I'm not sure we'll get to that part, but it's safer to always use the let and the const. If it's a constant, use the const. If it's not a constant, say let this equal that. It's more predictable than using a var. The var, there are certain areas where the scoping, it goes out of scope. You might not know where it's acting to. Someone is I'm sure it's not about this course. It's calling me. Let's see. Okay, I'll go take a look at some of the questions you guys have. Let me look at the chat. Okay. Let's see what is. I'm not seeing any question here. Let me check the YouTube channel. See if there are questions from the YouTube channel. How can I locate the console? How can I locate the console on Chrome? Okay, to go to the console, two ways. If you're on your laptop, you can actually right click. Okay, no, the common way, you go to view, go under menu, under the view. Sorry, I'm using MacBook. So I'm not sure if it's, no, this is not Firefox. So on Chrome, let me get back to Chrome. This is my screen on Chrome. can close this for now. Close that. So to locate the console, you go to View. You see Developer. That's the developer mode. Under Developer, you can now click JavaScript console. Alternatively, you can just right-click on the page. Right-click. See, if I right-click on this page, I can go to Inspect. Inspect. 1 minute is coming up. So under Inspect, it throws up the element, but that's not where I want to go. You can see console there. You click on console. It brings you here. So that's how to go to the console. You can right-click on the page, click Inspect. It takes you to the elements, but just look very well. You see console. There are other things there. You see network. You see the sources. I'm not sure if we treat them, but then the console, that one, that's where you want to be. So from here, you can give your commands and they will all work out. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it works. Okay, let me look at another question there. Oh, the font sizes are too tiny. They are not clear from here. I see. Next time I will, okay, that's right. Let's see. Let's see. I'm not sure it's zooming in. Okay. Yeah, I think it's, ooh, it's too much now. So I'll be conscious about this. Next time when I open the console, I'll zoom in on it just so you'll be able to see it better. Okay, thanks for that. Got another one. Someone say my screen is too dark for them to see. Wow. Okay. But I assume that next time if I zoom in on it, you should be able to see it. And again, it's simple thing. I've not done anything. Just open your console, practice, create variables, assign value to the variables, you know, make a const variable, make a let variable, and see how they behave. That's just the thing. Also go through, look at the reserved words, all those reserved words you cannot use. Most of the variables we created are just, you know, just one variable, x equals one value. You can actually assign multiple values to a single variable. It's called arrays. We're not going to look at it today. Just know that yes, it's not just fruit equals apple. You can say fruit equals apple, orange, it's called an array. And next class, we're going to see how we do array and use it up. Someone say, please, I just noticed I can't reply the previous sessions. It's possible to allow us replay the previous session to enable one refresh. Yeah, you can replay. We got a complaint that yesterday's session was off. Also, we are looking at it. I know we recorded that through Zoom. So we'll look at it and from the Zoom, we'll re-upload it. For some reason, I don't know why it wasn't available. I'm seeing you on the next side. Okay. So the console, I've told you how to find the console. Go to Chrome. It has to be Chrome. Okay, even if it's not Chrome, if you're using Firefox, Firefox also has something like that. If you're using Safari, Safari has developers so you can see, but it's from the web browser. You see the engine where you can do that. How do we start JavaScript on VS Code? No, on VS Code, it's support. Once you save your file, you have to save the file you're working on with .js. Anything .js. Once you say .js, VS Code knows it's a JavaScript file, and you can run. Okay, you can click run. After typing your code, you say run. If you run it, you'll see it in the terminal there for the VS Code. The Zoom was not visible and background was too dark. I've heard that. So next time I'll zoom up the screen just so you can see more. Okay, we are almost on the hour dot now. So the write-up, people keep talking about it. We've not done much on that. But again, let me see. Let me open VS Code. I'm not sure if this is too dark too. I might have to change my theme, remove it from dark, okay? Yeah, I might have to do that in the next broadcast. So guys, other than that, I think we'll call this a close. What I expect you guys to do, especially for those people that haven't been in tech, please, internet is hard. Go there and study HTML and CSS. Do it over the weekend so that by Monday we resume our live class on Monday. So by Monday, we'll continue. And I also told you for the fifth work, we're extending the availability up to 25th of December. And again, it was maybe 3 days to the end of 26th of September, we'll unlock all the quiz. So return back and do your quiz. Complete them. Once you complete the quiz, your progress will show in the progress bar. So other than that, have a nice weekend. You have a lot of things to do now. We're already on JavaScript. Next class, we're looking at arrays and more other things. So you could read ahead if you want to, but HTML and CSS, those are the basic things we want you to read through this weekend for those of you without that background. So I'll see you again in next class. Thank you.